are Geekcentric, and you can be too. Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our special Behind the Geeks episode for Marvel Animation's Marvel Zombies. My name is Nate, and if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, games, and all things Geekcentric, and all things Marvel, and all things, zombies. Today, I'm excited to share the news that all 4 episodes of Marvel Zombies will be dropping on Disney Plus on September 24th, and we here at the Geekcentric podcast had the incredible pleasure of welcoming back to the podcast showrunner Bryan Andrews and the head of Marvel Animation, Brad Winderbaum, to talk about this incredibly cool and bloody good time that is Marvel Zombies. In this chat, we discuss building out the cast of characters, focusing on Kamala Khan. We talk about Blade Knight and how just freaking rad that character is and how the iteration of that character came to be. And we also learned some really interesting details on some of Bryan's skills in sword mastery and dance, as well as a little bit of insight into some storylines from What If that never came to be, but could be explored maybe in the future. Huge thanks, as always, to our lovely friends at Disney Studios Canada, Disney Plus, and Marvel Canada for the opportunity to talk to these 2 legends again. You can tell that they're just having so much fun geeking out over all the mind-blowing moments they get to bring to Marvel fans around the world. Marvel Zombies extends and continues off that fantastic Marvel Zombies episode from season 1 of What If. But it takes things even further. It's filled with blood and gore and death and action and heart and all the incredible zombie film tropes you'd expect, while also delivering characters that you wouldn't expect to see together in ways you'd never expect to see them. So suffice to say, again, this series is rad. We'll have our spoiler-free review out soon, probably on the day that the 4 episodes drop, so you can listen to it either before you watch the episodes or afterwards. We keep things very spoiler-free, like we like to do. If you want to see more of our interviews, you can catch all of our interviews here on your podcast service of choice or over on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric. Go subscribe there as well. You can catch us on our socials at Geekcentric YT on Twitter, or We Are Geekcentric on Instagram and TikTok, where you can stay up to date in the moment to see all of what we're getting up to in our social media, social clips that we post. We just wrapped our first ever TIFF as accredited press. We're still coming off the high of TIFF 50. We have some great stuff out now, like our review of Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, which was one of our favorites, as well as our TIFF recap, and more reviews on the way. So check all those out. You can listen to them right now. Again, follow along. It's a great time to be Geekcentric. We're moving slowly but surely into the cozy geek fall. We've got the spooky geek Halloween times, which are going to be a lot of fun. Subscribe, follow all the things. We'd love to survive this zombie outbreak with you together. But with all that said, please enjoy our interview with Marvel Zombies showrunner Bryan Andrews and the head of Marvel Animation, Brad Winderbaum. Hey, Brad and Bryan, it's Nate here. Thank you so much for joining me again on the Geekcentric podcast. How are you both doing today?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Dude.
I'm doing good. I was supposed to have my co-host with me, but unfortunately, zombies,
Yes, right. Hey, man, you're carrying on in their honor. So good of you. So good of you.
I'll honor their legacy. First, both of you, thank you so much for keeping your promise to deliver this story, this zombie story. It's so much fun. I loved how these episodes build on what you did with that episode of What If. And I want to talk about the series, but just before we get into all that, I want to start with the hard-biting question. And I don't know if you've been asked this before, but between the two of you, and heck, let's throw Kevin Feige into the mix. Who's most likely to survive the zombie outbreak?
Bryan. Bryan. People don't know this about Bryan, but Bryan is a kung fu master.
Wow.
I wouldn't say master, but I have trained.
Definitely kicked my ass. Definitely.
There's a bunch of swords back there that you can't see that are just, behind the guitar. So I'd like to think I would last a little bit, but
Yeah,
No,
I'm
I
old and I'm out of practice, so who knows?
I love that. Brad and Kevin, you're not making it past episode 1, I guess.
mean, maybe if we followed Brian, we might survive.
There we go.
He's also
There
an
we go.
incredible swing dancer. I don't know if that applies to zombie apocalypse, but it is true. True or false,
I,
Brian? It's
Light
true.
on my feet. Maybe I can avoid the bites.
It's true.
Listen, I think in this series it applies heavily, and let's talk about this show. I think we got a glimpse at the zombie outbreak in season 1 of What If, episode 5, and this show really is an extension of that story where we saw a lot of heroes fall. For both of you, for this series, how did you decide who'd carry forward as either a hero or a monster?
I mean, part of it was where we fall within the MCU timeline a little bit. Like Brian said before, it's you know the we knew that the plague started in San Francisco. Who else was in San Francisco at that time based on the lore? Well, Shang and Katie were valets during that time. We knew Jimmy Woo was stationed there with the FBI. Like we knew that certain players would be laid out in a certain way. We knew that Kamala was in Jersey City while Kate Bishop was in New York. And maybe somehow Riri makes her way, just surviving on her own and meets up with other heroes. So there were kind of there were cues in the lore that led to the characters on the field, I would say.
Absolutely. And there's a number of individuals that didn't make it into the show, but we know what they're doing and where they're at. So if we get to make another one, there's a lot more stories to be told. So
Ooh. Okay, well, I'm certainly looking forward to more stories in this universe. I'm like a hungry zombie, I just get Marvel fans, we just can't get enough, right? So, now, I love that this show, Brian, for you, I love that the show is so fan forward. There's so many moments that fans have wanted to see. There's characters that we've wanted to see come back, and I love that this series sort of centers around the biggest in-universe MCU fan with Kamala Khan. What went into the decision to sort of follow her as the lead in this show?
I mean, Brad's been saying this a lot, and it's very true. It's just it's the notion that she's the young one, right? And when we started this, like her show was like barely out. Like I think it just come out, or maybe I can't forget, but it was a while ago, right? So even she as a character was also brand spanking new. So it was an opportunity for us, to play with the shiny new toy. But B, it just made some kind of sense in the fact that if we had some grizzled veteran and we're following, it's like, okay, we've seen this. But if it's someone who's like brand spanking new but has a shit ton of potential, then can she weather the storm? She has all this hope, she has all this naivete, but here comes the zombie movie stuff, right? How long can she hold out, And then plus it allows us then to have all these other characters kind of come in and move around her, join the team, and we always wanted to be an ensemble, but she was kind of like a hint of our Frodo, if that makes sense. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. As Canadians, we love Iman. I got to see her a bunch of times around Toronto for the Toronto International Film Festival. She's going from screening to screening, and she's up as early as all we are, and so she's awesome. For both of you, I think you had mentioned it earlier, Brian, but there's so many moments in this show that are just sort of mind-blowingly cool. And like you both must have just been grinning from ear to ear in that writer's room as you were cracking these moments. Were there any moments that you can share? I know, obviously, again, I'd love to see them in the future, and so you don't want to spoil anything. Is there anything that you can give me, anything that you can share that didn't make it into these 4 episodes or that were off limits or anything like that?
I totally can't tell you.
I mean, there was nothing off limits, but like I will say that, and there is a lot more story to tell.
Yeah.
Brian and I will just geek out like every so often. Like it's a D&D campaign or something, and talk about where other characters are in the universe at this time. So there's certainly more story to tell if we're so lucky. If enough people watch it and love it, we might have a chance to make more.
Yeah.
Well,
There's a number of oh shit, I can't what the fuck images that are in my head that would be in the next batch. There's a few that I haven't told Brad yet, but he knows a few of them, but there's a few. So the trailer for the next one, I think, will have just as much insanity as this one because there's no shortage of ideas.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, I mean, speaking of those insane ideas, those incredibly cool ideas, talk to me about Blade Knight. How did you guys come up with maybe the coolest MCU character in history?
It's so fun. I was talking to Brad. We can't remember exactly when we knew we were using Blade Knight, but it was definitely early, and he was Blade Knight almost immediately. I think part of it was because we didn't want to chase the live action movie. We thought the live action movie would be out before this, and we didn't want to be beholden to what they were doing because it's concurrent, and then there's limitations when it's concurrent, right? So like, no, we want to be free, totally free. It's like, well, if he's fucking Blade Knight, he could just do whatever that we don't need to live. We don't have to pay attention to the live action people whatsoever, and we can just do our thing and be free. And we're like, yeah. And it's like you already have badass, and then you have another heap of badass added on top. It's like, come on, it's so great.
Most fun thing ever.
Yeah, we love Blade Knight, and I love that the people are responding to him as strongly as they are. Um, it's he's freaking cool, and yeah, I hope
Yeah.
people really enjoy it when they finally get a chance to see a little bit more of him.
I love it. I love it. A badass sandwich almost in a way.
Oh
It sounds delicious. Now, as we kind of get to the end of this conversation, I could talk to you guys forever about the show.
yeah.
But I want to know, obviously there are threads from What If that could still be explored. Are there any episodes of What If that you would want to go back and make a whole series of?
Yeah.
Heck
You know,
yeah.
funny, it's like Brad mentioned one earlier, and there's actually some un what if episodes we never got to do that for I would also love to like we had one that was going to be basically D&D. It was straight up fantasy, and it was going to follow like a sea level team going the back way through the adventure to completely win and save the A team. You know what I mean? Like I think that one could be so damn freaking fun and still badass, right? Other than that, Brad mentioned the Western one, expanding that because it was basically the MCU just turned into a full Western and the whole world is like full of insanity. That could also be great.
Also, I thought Shang and Katie were like, I mean, Shang and Kate Bishop were a great pairing
Yeah.
episode.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and you
Yeah.
can kind of imagine, and Brian had this idea, and he's actually in the season 2 finale is a gunslinging Loki that shoots frost bullets, and that felt like if we were telling the next chapter of Kate Bishop and Shang-Chi in the Wild West, I think they'd probably face off against
Yeah.
Western Loki. Would be pretty awesome.
I had this whole story thing that we couldn't do, but it was like it was Cap, Bucky, Fury, all these guys, in there, and like Sean hooks up with them to do stuff, but use it as a means to explore like and commentary on post Civil War and the problems with the fact that it was not really over yet and like
Hmm.
get into some heady stuff. If we made this thing TVMA and like we really went in there and like did that type of stuff, people's minds would explode. They'd be like, "This is amazing!" Because we have all the insane action, all the crazy stuff, but then we'd be dealing with also some of those real life stuff, like not turning a blind eye to that. I think that would have been also pretty freaking rad. So
Awesome, guys. They're wrapping me here. Brian, in our last conversation, you said we can do anything,
I did.
and I can't wait to see more of the anything that comes from Marvel Animation. Both of you have just been a delight to chat with and geek out with again. And I still love Brad seeing all the stuff in your background there. I'm gonna have to screen cap it and see what's changed from our last time. So
If one of them falls, it all
They
just
all
be
it
crushed.
all comes down.